I want you to imagine a place where fans can go, where they can enjoy sports the way that sports are meant to be enjoyed. Over the last 20 years or so, we have seen an epidemic that has infiltrated one of our beloved leagues, the NBA. And today I'm going to ask for your help to help stop this epidemic. As children, we all loved running and shooting a basketball. We understood that there would be contact that would take place. And yet, sadly today, what do we see? We see so many players that are just flopping. The flop has taken the joy away from millions of fans. It has to stop. So today, my dear family, I'm calling upon you to help me, help you, help stop the flop. That's right. With just a few comments and any type of donation that you wish to give, together we can stop this epidemic from taking hold of the NBA more than it already has. There are so many people that are affected by it. Children who are influenced by the idea that falling when you don't even get touched is appropriate. So please, take the time to stop the flop. Together, you and I, we can end the epidemic that is permeating throughout the NBA. If you comment now and you want to support this movement to stop the flop, you can support by purchasing a Stop the Flop t-shirt. You can make comments about flopping. We'll make sure that you get one. In either case, we have to band together as fans and end this epidemic. We have to stop the flop. What's going on, family? We're back. Another episode of the Listen Man Show. The show that's for the fans, by a fan. Man, today is an episode that's going to piggyback off of one of our previous episodes. We're going to talk about the epidemic. And so today's show is called Stop the Flop. I'm your host, Kevin, aka Kevy Kev, aka Big Kev, aka you can call me whatever you want to as long as it sounds cool and it starts with a K. Now, before the show starts, some exciting news. You probably can see it, huh? Yeah, the new Listen Man shirts are in. So if you would like a shirt, reach out. DM me at Instagram at Listen Man for Fans, and you find out a way that you can get a shirt. I want to take a moment, too, to shout out my man, Ron. If you remember in our family appreciation episode where we read some of the comments, Ron was a gentleman that actually commented on every episode. So he's proven to be a true Listen Man fan, a true Listen Man family member, and he has shown great support. So in that episode, I promised him that I would get him a t-shirt. So Ron, your t-shirt was mailed out today. You should have it sometime by the beginning of next week. So thank you. So if you want your own free Listen Man t-shirt, comment. Tell me what you think about the shows. Make sure you go back and catch previous episodes as well. And maybe you too will get a free t-shirt. As always, this is the Listen Man Show. So grateful that you took some time out to spend it with your boy. So today, we talk about the flop in the NBA. Now here's what's unique about this topic. It bothers me so much that I'm not even being funny when I'm trying to be funny about the subject. It really irritates me. You know why? I think back to when we were kids and we started playing basketball, especially for those of us that really love the sport. When you were fortunate enough to get on the court with the older guys, and those guys kind of taught you that this is a man's game early. They would give you nice elbows, they would hard foul you, they would make things difficult for you, and they would dare you to complain about it. You better not call a foul, or else you would go sit on the sideline somewhere, and that was the end of you playing with the grown folks, the better basketball players. But somewhere along the line, this epidemic started happening in the NBA to where the physicality left. Not only did it leave, it was replaced by the same type of action, if not worse, without the contact. How does that work? I know the league wanted to crack down on a lot of the 80s, the 70s, where there was fist fights and all of these things that happened that sponsors and Fortune 500 companies would not want to contribute money to leagues that were like that, even though I find that funny that hockey is like that and they get support. Subject for another day. So they wanted to crack down on it. So they tried to streamline the game, but man, now it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible to see. This is an epidemic of huge proportions. And if we're not careful, family, this epidemic is going to ruin a game that I love, a game that I know you love. So today we're going to discuss it. We're going to figure out how we can stop the flop. Plain and simple. Now, like most epidemics, movies, right? What's the main purpose of the movie? It's not so much the symptoms, it's trying to find the origin. If they could find the origin, the little monkey that came from Africa, if they could find the origin, particular virus that started somewhere else from the mixing of chemicals, if they can find the origin of the epidemic, then they can cure it. That's what most of the movies or TV shows that highlight some sort of epidemic and the effect that it has on people are about. If they can find the origin, then they can figure out a solution and they can fix the problem. Now, sadly, in the movies, a lot of times they cannot find the origin and therefore the epidemic continues. It gets worse. It mutates. Well, in this case, it's unique in the NBA in the sense that we know where the origin is. You want to know? I'll tell you. The origin of the flop actually didn't even start in basketball. It started in Europe with soccer. That's right, soccer. Soccer has the most flops of any sport. I mean, just look at some of these clips that we're showing you. I mean, these aren't even good actors in the way that they're flopping. And if you get a chance, take a look. Just go to YouTube and look at some of the soccer flops that have happened over the years. It's the most incredible things you've ever seen. In some of the clips as you're watching right now, some of them don't know whether to grab their head or grab their knee. They're confused because they're just flopping for no reason. So there's the origin. Well, how did it permeate in the NBA? Well, just like any other virus, it has to be transported. So David Stern, who I love as a commissioner, he had an idea that he wanted to globalize the NBA. He wanted to capitalize off of the Michael Jordan, right? He wanted that whole era, he wanted to make it global. And then after the Dream Team, he really wanted to make it global. So guess what he did? He started bringing European players to the league. He started trying to branch out the NBA to other countries, which is great. It grows the sport. It expresses chances for competition of different styles of play. That's what we love as fans. But sadly, a number of the players that started coming from overseas brought this virus of flopping to the NBA. You think of individuals like Vlade Divac, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker. These guys mutated the flop to a virus that now has spread to a degree that it almost makes watching some NBA games impossible. Now, one thing I pride myself on, family, is this. I pride myself on trying to be as fair as possible, like calling things right down the middle. So I'm not going to sit here and act like my era, the 90s, early 2000s, didn't have floppers. There were floppers in the late 80s. It was just a different kind of flop. For example, in the 90s, we had individuals like Dennis Rodman, Robert Ory. Now, these guys were floppers in the sense that, yeah, if they were taking a charge, they would actually get hit. They would fall down a little faster than they needed to. If a ball was going out of bounds, maybe they could just save it and throw it in. Instead of just doing that, they might jump into the stands as if they were thrusted out there. That's the type of flopping that we were used to in the late 80s and the early 90s. But as the virus started spreading, teams that ended up with some of these players from other countries who were known to flop because soccer is such a globalized sport that most of those players played soccer before playing basketball. The virus started spreading to teammates. So you could look to the Indiana Pacers with Reggie Miller and how he was one of the first kind of superstar players to really get the virus. The virus affected him in a way to where he started shooting three-pointers and it would cause his leg to kick out real funny. Just kick out, kick out, kick out. He couldn't even shoot a jumper normal anymore. He was always trying to twist his arm or his leg would go out a certain type of way to try to get a foul. It was a scary thing to see. The NBA got a little bit worried and the NBA said, man, this is not normal. We got to fix this somehow. So they implemented some rules against this virus, this flopping, to try to stop it, to try to discourage others from associating with anybody that would even consider flopping. But sadly, it would be too late because it would be after the games that games would be reviewed. So what happened? When you take a virus lightly, typically it spreads and it mutates and it gets in a way to where those guidelines don't even matter anymore. And sadly, that's exactly what happened. This virus of flopping, it just grew and it grew and it mutated to the point to where not only was it just average players, not only was it just one or maybe two star players that were doing it, it is to a point now to where most of the superstar athletes in the NBA not only are infected by it, but it seems that they can't even play basketball without displaying flopping in a way that shows that they're truly infected from head to toe. And it's sad to see. And really, as fans, we just want to see our players healed from this virus. And that's what this episode is about. How can we help the players be healed from a virus that has taken control? It has taken the league by storm. When you look at who some of the top floppers are out there, it breaks my heart. LeBron James is one of the top ones. Here you have someone who typically is one of the bigger guys on the court, and yet he flops. It's like he can't help it. It's like the virus has got him so bad that he just flops. He don't even know why sometimes. So sometimes he just lays on the floor till he can figure out why he did it. Chris Paul is another one. The virus affected him in a way to where he couldn't even dribble on a fast break without all of a sudden stopping right in the middle of a dribble so that somebody could try to run him over. It was like the virus of flopping literally affected his limbs to where he just had to stop. It became scary to see. One of the ones that it affected the worst was James Harden. Do you remember him, especially in Houston, when he was having those MVP type seasons? It was sad to see how much the virus had overtaken him. Every time he dribbled, his neck would just snap back like this. It was scary to see. For me, I would cringe every time I saw it. Or when he would shoot a three, it would affect his legs so bad that his feet could never come back down on the ground. He would automatically fall straight on his butt. That's how bad the virus was. How much it affected these players. It's terrible to see. Joel Embiid. He flips and flails every time he grabs a rebound. His arms flail out like this. It's like the virus has taken over his senses of his hands to be able to squeeze a ball. And as we look around the league, we see more and more individuals flopping. This virus literally causes some grown men to launch themselves into the air. We see others affected by the virus in a way to where even if another person's arm or hand or elbow even comes close to their face, they fall backwards and they lay there as if they got hit by Mike Tyson in his prime. It's bad, family. This virus is terrible, family. It needs to be stopped. It needs to be stopped. What happened? What happened to guys that could just play basketball and understand that it is a bit physical, but that comes with the game? Now, I said we have to go back to the origin of the game, didn't I? So sometimes that means we have to go back to ourselves, our roots. And in order to do that, you know what that means? Story time.
Listen.
Yeah. See, when I played, it was physical. I loved the contact. It helped me work on my footwork. So there was a time I was playing, and unfortunately, I caught an elbow to the face. I got an elbow from someone that was about 6'6", 6'7". At the time, probably 255, maybe 260. Nice elbow, boom, right across the nose. Now I went down. I went down to like one knee, half a leg kind of sprawled out a little bit, hand on the floor. As I lifted my head up, blood went everywhere. I realized something wasn't right. So I got up, walked into the bathroom, cleaned my face off, looked in the mirror, saw that my nose looked like Superman's emblem, tried to straighten it out myself, got some ice, put ice on it, got dressed, drove myself to the emergency room where they did what they could until I could have surgery to fix my broken nose. Now, that story is the story of most of us that play basketball. We've twisted an ankle, we've truly gotten hurt, but we didn't respond the way these NBA players respond today. These players today act as if they are dying on the court.
They killed you, so you have to die an honorable and noble death.
Others make it very obvious that they're faking.
And the Oscar for Best Picture is presented to...
And the Oscar goes to...
And the Oscar goes...
We need to go back to the roots. That's how we know it's a virus. Because you go to any local gym and you will see physical play. You will see guys bumping and banging each other with nobody complaining. It's expected. Something happens when they get to the NBA. This virus takes over, and the next thing you know, grown men are flopping. It's just sad to see. It's scary to watch. And if you've been watching some of the NBA playoffs over the last few days, you see that it's even leaked into the playoffs. The most important time of the year, we're seeing players who are missing shots because they're so worried about flopping. They can't even concentrate on layups or wide open shots because they're trying to draw the foul. This virus has become unstoppable. It has affected the minds of where people can't even think about playing anymore. They just want a foul. We got to stop it together, family. It has to end. We have to stop the flop. Pretty soon we won't be watching the NBA. We'll be watching soccer. So how do we stop it? Well, one way is for the NBA to continue doing what it's doing, but I do think they need to get a lot more strict when it comes to the fines. Because now they can call it live in the game. And if that happens, I personally feel that if someone is caught flopping in a game, they should be ejected. Right there on the spot. Set the tone that if anybody else thinks about flopping, they will not play. And let it be one of the star players like a LeBron James, like a James Harden or a Joel Embiid. Let them get kicked out of the game for not playing the game the way it's meant to be played. And I guarantee you it'll set a tone for the rest of the year, for the seasons to come, and players that are coming into the league. We have to take this very seriously, folks. We got to stop this virus. And in order to stop a virus, sometimes you got to go to drastic measures to protect yourself and to protect those you love. In this sport that we love, we have to protect it. So it's desperate times, desperate measures. Now, if the referees watch a game and review it and they see flopping, those players should be fined heavily. The team should be fined heavily. And if you get a second offense, I think you should be suspended 5 games minimum. That's how bad this pandemic is. This epidemic is just driving me crazy. So it's drastic now because it's beginning to affect everyone who loves this sport. It's bad. Now, the second way that we could do it is imagine 2,000 or 3,000 people walking into NBA arenas with shirts that say "Stop the Flop." Imagine what message that would send to the players if fans were representing "Stop the Flop" on shirts, like you saw in our intro. Imagine that. You too can be a part of the Stop the Flop movement by wearing one of these shirts that simply say "Stop the Flop." Wear it to an NBA game if you have an opportunity. Wear it on social media. Let players know that we do not want to see the flop anymore. It has to stop. And that's not too much to ask, is it? Imagine if you went to see your favorite comedian or your favorite singer or performer, and then when it was time for them to perform, they didn't sound anything like they do on the record. In fact, they were just flailing around on the stage. Maybe they were Milli Vanilli in it. They just lip synced over some bad music. What would you do? You would boo them. You would let them know that you're not satisfied with the performance. So why is it that we as fans put up with this epidemic that has caused players to not give their best? We need to boo them. We need to let them know that we are not happy. So support by wearing a Stop the Flop t-shirt. If you want one, let me know. If you want a Listen Man shirt, as I said in the beginning, let me know. Reach out to me, DM me. Let's make this movement real so that we can stop this epidemic right where it stands. I'm sorry, family. It's my soapbox. And I'm actually pretty toned down about it when I'm talking about it now. But it needs to stop. We see the footage. We see the images. It is sad to see grown men flipping and flailing around as this virus has just taken over their bodies to where they can't even control them themselves. Let's get control back. Let's take the NBA back. Let's stop the flop. As always, make sure you hit the thumbs up. Make sure that you subscribe. Make sure that you follow. Make sure that you share. Make sure that you comment. These are all things that you can do for free. Let's take the Listen Man show forward. Let's make the fans' voice the loudest voices that's out there. And the Stop the Flop movement could be the movement that takes us over the top. Now, I have a goal. It's a simple one. I would love to get to 1,000 followers, subscribers on this YouTube page. Can you guys help me with that? Can we start there? Make sure that you share it. Help me get those followers up. Then we can have more conversations like this to where our voices can begin to have impact in some of the sports that we love. As always, thank you for taking time out to rock with me. I hope you have an amazing day. Stay positive. Keep smiling. Keep positive people around you. Remember, no matter how bad things may be, better times are always ahead. This has been the Listen Man Show. I'm your host, Kevin. As I always say, let's go.